Hello everyone and welcome back to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, or the Stanley Parable 2. Last time the narrator took us on a pretty wild chase through the game and we ended up in a new game invented by the narrator. He also stole our emotional support bucket, so I hope we'll get that back. But yeah, let's jump in again and see if we can end up back in the Ultra Deluxe edition. Or if we're stuck in the new game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Is this the same intro as always?
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
Looks like
This
the normal
is what
intro.
Employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Game sound is a bit
One
soft.
day,
No.
something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I'll try to fix the volume. Let me know if this is better.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's still the custom balloons we picked last time, so I guess we're still in the Stanley Parable 2. Hey, here's our bucket.
Stanley lifted the bucket
Hey.
into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
I think the game saves story progression, or rather it doesn't save story progression, so now I'm back at the beginning of when I
Stanley
picked up the
clutched
bucket.
tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yes, the bucket is
And
telling
here
me.
it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
It's the best bucket ever.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Good job, bucket. Yes. Very good job, bucket.
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home, here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Where do you want to sit, bucket?
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
I keep forgetting I can't jump in this game. I wanted to jump on the chair, but... Oh, is this your favorite painting, bucket? Maybe you can catch some rain. Ooh. Or you can catch the ocean. Dream big, bucket. Dream big. Is there no more story left? Can we move on? Okay.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No, the bucket wants to go straight.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Okay, bucket, we'll go to the cargo lift.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yes, sounds like a great plan. Don't question the bucket. The bucket knows.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Yes, bucket.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home where we can go about life together.
Ah, yes, let's go home.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
Sad story.
Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
You're not watching anything. Ooh, let's go to work.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Best co-worker ever.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
No, I want to be with the bucket.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
It doesn't need to do anything else. Yes, I won't listen to the loud man. Let's go home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking
dark in
orders
here.
from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
You're just jealous of me and the bucket. Ignore anyone in your life except for the bucket. Yes, great plan.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
It's very shiny. Yes, you're a real bucket. You're my shiny bucket.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Yes, it's a great bucket for transporting water. Relived this same day with me over and over while slowly losing power in my apartment apparently.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Because it's just so much more. To work to home, to work to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings.
Ooh, romantic.
The bucket. No, 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 no. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Oh, so cozy. Let's be together forever, bucket.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley.
No.
I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Go back to work. But where's my bucket? He took the bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
There's the bucket.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Did it just loop? Was that like an ending? I'm not sure.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Should we go left this time? There was an ending, I think. Yeah. It didn't really feel like an ending somehow, but I think we're just completely reset again, so...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
You said left. Oh, sorry. I saw it too late. I wanted to jump off the elevator again.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yeah. Good.
Said the bucket.
Let's see what's through
Now
that
ride
door.
the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did
No.
not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
No. Not doing what the bucket asks.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless,
But...
what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
So you're going to teach me what is a bucket? Wow.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me
Oh,
whether or
multiple
not
choice.
the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No, clearly not.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket,
What?
not an actual bucket.
Okay, I didn't see that coming.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
No, definitely not.
Correct.
What?
It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
So I can't fill this, or?
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
No, definitely not.
Incorrect.
Oh.
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
This is clearly a bucket.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth.
No, you
I
can
thought
fit
this
it
was
with
a
water.
gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
I can move water from room to room in that, so it's a bucket.
Is this a bucket?
Yes, another bucket.
Correct. This is
What?
a bucket.
This game.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
No, that's a car.
Trick question. Both.
Both?
Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
No, it's not a bucket.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true.
Yes,
Unless-
everything is a
Is that
bucket.
what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Yes, definitely.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
No,
I
no,
can't
it's
have that.
fine.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No,
Okay, here we go.
not my bucket again. Why
What
does he
happened?
keep taking my
Is
bucket?
everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Everything
was
is a
everything
bucket.
a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
The number of times I think, what the fuck is this game? Yep. It's insane. It's so well made.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
Oh,
mean?
no bucket.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
He said he would replace all the buckets, but the bucket isn't here. Oh, it's here. Oh.
Warmth spread through
Oof.
Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Yes, I'm home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
No.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took
Okay.
the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
There's one more option here.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket,
Yes.
his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms.
Finally.
How deeply
Forever alone
touching.
with the bucket. I'd forgotten it was so
All of his
brutal to
co-workers
jump
were
up there.
gone. What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
No, not with the
Stanley
bucket
clutched
around.
the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
That was dark, yeah. That was definitely an ending. Okay, so we finally go left. Make the narrator happy.
Still no one was here.
Oh, no
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
one. Oh. Our boss's office.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Will we though? Are we going upstairs? Or downstairs? How much are we going to annoy the narrator? Yes. Yes, what? Go back to the room. I can't go back. The door's closed behind me. Yes, upstairs? Or yes, downstairs? You can't say yes. That doesn't help. Annoy the narrator. Ah, okay. That's the best option. Going downstairs. Oh, collectible.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
This was one of the narrator's improvements to the game. Collectibles that don't actually give you anything once you found
But
them all.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket
Difficult
close,
times
yet
for
felt
the
none of its
past 10
familiar
minutes.
reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
Oh no.
How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad.
No.
Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket! Could it truly be? He rushed forward
where's
from
the
room
bucket?
to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley!
These are stupid
Find
buckets.
me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, it froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Okay.
This is the story of a woman named
what?
Mariella. Ariella woke up on a day like any other.
Without
She
her bucket?
rose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was.
He didn't have a
This
bucket.
man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Ariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Wow, impressive. For a second I thought it was gonna be sort of philosophical with there's a bucket inside of us, but no, it turned dark again. Did I hear a phone? What? Which one is it?
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Okay. So are we now mind controlled by the recorded message or something? Figurine Finders Committee meeting today. Where's the narrator gone? It's eerily silent. Is this my bucket?
The good old bucket.
Ah, there he is.
Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Yes, adventure.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Sure. Yeah, the narrator is back. Warehouse access plan. Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. What? Retrieve Chris's remains from warehouse floor. Construct new structurally sound bridge. Okay. Places to search. Inside of a sequel exhibit. Stairs. Something to do with stairs. 5 there be, just take it from me. Gotta collect them all. Is this some kind of game? There must be a point to this. Okay, but these two we've actually found, so... A large room, a lot of boxes, some are both red and blue, nearby a fireplace, a private but smelly place for an important person. Okay. I can't say I remember all too well where we've been. There will be a reward. Lies. Stop hiding yourself. I want to go home. Trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they tell us something will happen? Weird spinning figurines. I saw one in the cargo room. Employee building a bridge. No. Why are they floating? Maybe we are the collectibles. Oof. How can we find them? No, how we can find them. Bottom text. Very important. Small floating objects have appeared. We have to synergize our resources. There are many questions. There was no memo. Oh no. No memo. How can you tell? You've spotted one. Who took these pictures? Yeah, someone knows where they are. Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Good luck. Okay. A large room, lots of boxes, somewhere both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace, a private but smelly place for an important person. There was a fireplace in the boss's office, but I'm not sure about those other... Oh, a large room, lots of boxes, maybe the warehouse, but the door closed behind me, so nope. Okay, we'll see where we end up. I can't go in the broom closet music fairy. Just FYI. Oh, I can go in the broom... What?
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together.
Yes.
Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
It was great. All the adventures, romantic evenings with the candles.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Yes, this is clearly my bucket.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. See? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
But we already concluded that everything was a bucket, so... Can we put this sticker on everything?
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Interesting cleaning supplies, by the way. I mean, there's a broom and a mopping station, but radioactive wire. Hey, Tops. How do I like the Stanley Parable? It's great. It's an amazing game, and I get confused all the time. Every time I think the game, or I know what the game is doing, it's gone around 180 and does something completely different, but it's awesome, and there's so much voice acting. It's really great.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yes, let's go upstairs to the boss's office this time. Executive bathroom. There should be a yes.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Mini stands?
Figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Stanlerine. Stanley urine? Okay. Never leave the bucket. The bucket is your friend now. Yes. Another Figley. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Right. That's an interesting way to think about it. Okay, let's see if we can find some clarity in the boss's office. Can we go in here? Business strategy. I'm not sure what type of business you can get from a panda, but is there a lot of money to be made in bamboo? Elevator. Poor panda. Yeah. If you get a no, you can force a yes. Oh wait, there's another one here. I am the most expensive boss. Weird flex. So do we take the elevator or do we go into the office? The game wants us to go in the office. So do we take the elevator? Elevator. Yes. Choices. Yes, always be annoying for the narrator. That's my favorite choice. Nice music. How tall is this building? At least I'm with my bucket, so it's not awkward standing in the elevator. Okay, wait. Okay, elevator to nowhere apparently. It's just a nice elevator to enjoy some downtime with music, I guess. Like a sensory deprivation tank, but it's a musical stimulation box or something. Anyway.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
No. I love this title. Carte Blanche et Mont Blanc. With like giant mining equipment
Stanley just sat around
chipping
twiddling
away
his
at
thumbs.
Mont Blanc.
Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
No, it's impossible to know the combination. It's for the Friday afternoon drinks.
2845.
I hope not all 600 employees will have to take their drinks in the elevator. But will that keypad reveal another figurine near the fireplace? Maybe, but it's impossible to know the combination, so...
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself.
Ah,
and
lame.
Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Lame. Yeah, no figurine. I was expecting one to be around here because of the fireplace, but... Nope. Maybe it's a different fireplace. Oh, no, it's here.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Let's just call them happies. Yeah, your working elevator. No music though.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
Sounds
It would be
ominous.
all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Oh, thank God for the bucket. What would I do without it?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Emotional support bucket, yes. Okay, so straight ahead to the mind control facility or escape. What do you guys think? I mean, escaping is sounds better for my health than being mind controlled. Escape? Okay.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut.
I don't
Stanley
trust
and the
him.
bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No, he's
At this
just
point,
trying to
Stanley
make me
and
turn
the bucket
around.
were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Nah. Can't go wrong. Okay. Looks like a perfect escape route to me. Nothing bad happening at all.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had
Meaningless?
turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
No, the bucket will save me. Aha!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Nope. The bucket saved me. Haha. Looks like you broke your kneecaps with that fall. Probably.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest.
Yes.
It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Is this a bucket obituary? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. Okay. Let's see what the bucket has to offer.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the
magnificent
bucket is
bucket.
far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
So many buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. So many buckets. It's unhealthy. New religion, yes. Ooh, Inferno bucket. So powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Yeah, no one can control a bucket. The stress bucket. One bucket to rule them all. Cave drawing of buckets. Are buckets even made by humans, or are they aliens? Buckets predate the existence of mankind. How the bucket is allowing itself to be used. Having judged humanity worthy. We're worthy of the bucket.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. I'm wondering if there'll be a bucket list around here. Just a list of all the great buckets of history. What's over this way? A bucket with 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. I think we'll have to jump. It's the only way to go. Okay. Let's see if we can grasp the hanging bucket. Hanging just out of our reach. Come over here. Oh. What? Okay, I didn't expect that. My bucket.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world,
can't jump.
a new vision.
Split. So, did we die? I guess we died. There's no jumping in this game, so... Oh wait, that's not true. There's some jumping in this game, but only in very specific places. No, the bucket. Yes.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Maybe we'll get
What
a new
could it
one.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Yay,
Perhaps
bucket.
he had simply missed it.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly
No,
fine with
Stanley.
him.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
Okay,
to his
let's
chest
go to the
and
left.
entered the door on his left.
And let's go to the boss's office again, but this time let's go to the mind control place. We still need to find 2 more. I wish I could loop around somehow. Oh wait, we can...
Coming to a staircase,
We can
Stanley
die
and the
here
bucket
again.
walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Because I think I need to
Stanley just
go...
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
To the
He might be
warehouse
fired for
again.
that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought.
Oh, not our
Usually the
bucket.
bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close,
Luckily
yet felt
we didn't
none of
take
its familiar
Mariella's bucket.
reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it?
Completely
I
mad.
must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by
The
one bucket after the
buckets.
next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly...
I don't think there's
froze
any way
dead in
to
his
restore
tracks. He knew
our
where
sanity.
the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Yoink. So I think we need to take the door on the right and then go through
This is the
the
story of a woman
lobby
named Mariella.
and then go left. There's a staircase there.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
If I remember
She rose,
correctly.
got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
I can't skip any
Right
of
away,
this.
she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could
Video
all have
game.
been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the
You want a
first
bucket
place.
for your
How
birthday.
cruel the world can be, Mariella thought.
No, I don't
And she
just want
hugged her
any
own
bucket for my
even
birthday.
tighter. But of
I
course,
want
she had
an
no time for this.
amazing,
There were a
shiny,
myriad of confusing
emotional
problems
support
she
bucket.
would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket
But it has
would
to be
provide absolute
the
guidance
best
and total
bucket in the
clarity on
world.
Everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass.
And
she
I'll know if it's
backflipped
not
all
because
the
it
way to work.
won't talk to me, so good luck finding the right one. Okay, so let's
All
try
of
this
his
again.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Don't dare
Stanley
me.
decided to go to the meeting room. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the
Now
door
we're
on his
going left.
to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
No, we're going down. I think here's the room with many boxes or something like that.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
What the hell?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Okay, the Adventure Line was great, so let's do the Adventure Line one more time.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Ooh, silly music. Oh, yes. Now this is a real adventure. What about the figurine? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was in the wrong place.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
What?
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
What? My bucket? Maybe you had to go behind the cardboard. Yeah, I tried, but there was a fence. I couldn't go behind it. I'm not giving up the bucket for drugs and hookers.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
No, we don't.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Is this where the Adventure Line is leading me?
Can you
that's not
guess
fair.
what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No, I can throw the bucket in the Bucket Destroyer.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
Let me out.
I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket.
Oh, let's find out together.
Is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
What a lame
Sure, I
character.
can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom
bucket.
Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We
No,
can't get
I
back to the
refuse.
classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer
No, I
until
can
you
backtrack.
crush that damn
Door's
bucket.
closed.
Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the
No.
fans what they want. Hurry and go.
Oh? Okay.
bucket destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Oh, so magnificent. Goodbye. Oh, that was the end. Okay. Sure.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
The embrace of an old friend. A weathered
my old friend, the
companionship
bucket.
that stands the test of time.
Wait. This is different. Right? Was it always this way? No, I'm confused. I thought the hallways looked different.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
I'm
entered the
confused.
door on his left. This was not the
Yeah,
correct
let's go
way to
down
the
there
meeting
again.
room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
They
No,
did look different
never
before.
mind.
Yes, okay.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see,
So there's
your
a fence
friends and
here.
I are
Oh wait, can we
concerned
go
for you,
through the
Stanley.
broom closet?
We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this
No.
bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
Okay.
The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that
Yeah, there's
matter,
a fence on
Stanley.
this side.
Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite
equipment
jokes, not
here,
this
there's boxes
bucket
here.
that they've never seen before.
This is the
Yes, I know
elevator.
I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much
And
time
there's
with
a
it.
fence over here.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
So-
We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Behind the baby? Nope. No, no figurine. So this is probably not the place with many boxes. Maybe it's just the warehouse if you take the door to the right and keep
Whee!
going.
Look at that wacky line.
where we
Who
jumped
knows
off.
where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Maybe I didn't look closely enough last time.
Now this
Oh.
is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes
Or
from
you
the
have to
original
destroy the
dialogue?
bucket.
Also, Stanley's addicted to drugs and hookers.
Destroying the bucket?
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
But will I have the bucket
Don't
when I
you get it,
respawn,
Sam?
or will it be gone
We need
forever?
to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
I'm not ready to part with the
This
bucket.
is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of
bring
the
myself
cast
to
all
destroy
along.
the
Don't you
bucket.
agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Can we destroy the bucket?
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give
like
it the
the
bucket.
stuffed elephant in
I
It
don't
Takes
know
Two.
what the bucket destroyer will do if it can't destroy
I
your
can't
bucket.
remember what happened to the
Destroying
stuffed
buckets
elephant.
is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
I thought you had to
I
fix
can
that,
hear
not
you
destroy
say,
it.
how does a character with only one personality
You have to tear it
trait
apart?
deserve to join the
Oh.
pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if
No,
you were to
that was so
really
sad.
explore the bucket destroyer, you would
So
see
do
that
we
its
destroy the
desire
bucket?
to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that
No,
it's really
goody.
like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly
Can you
not. I
not
wonder what sort of
remember?
bucket
I'm
destroyer
sorry.
merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay,
banished
the
it from
bucket
my
destroyer
memory.
is getting very upset now.
It
You'll
was
have
too
to hurry
upsetting.
and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer
Yeah, I can't
until you
destroy it.
crush that damn bucket.
I'm
Quickly
clicking,
now,
but-
the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans
What's
what
the
they
problem?
want.
Yes.
Hurry and...
I couldn't destroy the bucket. I was clicking, but Stanley just clutched it to his chest.
The Bucket Destroyer.
It was
My
heartbreaking.
prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now.
I was too scarred.
Goodbye,
I had
new
to
friend.
remove it from my
For the
memory.
moment in time that you were here.
Can't
you
blame Stanley though.
were
No,
Magnificent.
can't blame him either. Okay, so we can't destroy the bucket. And there's no figurine over there. So let's go to the big warehouse. See if we've missed anything there. Oh. What?
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Why do the hallways keep changing?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the... This was not the correct way to the
No,
meeting
we're
room.
going right.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Can't open that door. So this is a place with oh, there's a figurine. Ah, wait. Can I glitch my way onto the fence? I'm on the fence. Can I fall down here? Ah. So this is where one of the employees fell to his death. Okay, good to know.
You're getting
Hey.
close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Lorines.
Figler and Lorines? What?
And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all.
Ah.
You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Lorines. None of us
Figler
can.
and Lorines? God, what a name. I want all the Figler and Lorines. Ooh, where does this go? I can't. Oh, loading screen. I can't see where I'm going. What? Where are we? Figure antlers. Maybe we can put them on our head. Oh, that's a lot of cassettes. Okay. What kind of weird backroom are we? Can we play them? Oh. Narrator sound system.
This is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down.
Oh.
It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
Why did this turn so dark? Oh my god. Was he ambushed by the alien race who sent us the buckets? What the hell happened there? Oh my god. Lord Wolfling, thanks for the follow. Wow. Okay. Okay.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
FBI, open up.
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Very lucky. Until the Gambora come for him. Or something.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, we'll go to the left. Let's see the checklist. Somewhere both red and blue. I vaguely remember a room somewhere with red and blue doors, but oh, I think the game started like breaking down, glitching out because of the amount of wrong choices I made, and then the left and right doors became red and blue doors, but I'm not sure how to get to that point. I'm also not sure if there's a lot of options left for us
Stanley and the bucket
other
walked
than
upstairs to the boss's office.
going to the mind control facility. But if we go there, then it might reset the game entirely and we lose the bucket, and then we didn't find all the figurines. No, figurines.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was
I know
once
how to
again
get there.
stunned
Oh.
to discover
How?
not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yeah, the bucket
Was
knew.
the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
The bucket knew where we had to go. Through the warehouse you have to jump off the cargo lift, but we went there. We've been there. But I'll die
Stanley
again
and the bucket
here.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Just
Control.
to be on the safe
Although
side.
this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yes, let's
The
meet our
door
violent
behind them was
death.
not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No,
At
we
this
can't.
point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Oh, I'm sorry I have to do this to you, Bucket. You have to jump onto the catwalk and then through the door. Yeah, we've been there. I'm pretty sure we did that at the beginning of this. That's where the red and blue door.
As the
Okay.
machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise,
I'll just have
Stanley
to
reflected on how
slowly die
meaningless the
and
bucket's
then
warmth and
I'll
comfort
try
had
going
turned
there
out
again.
To be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
Painful death.
Farewell,
I'm not sure
Stanley.
if...
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Poor Bucket.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
So glorious. Why did he have to go?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far... No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Bucket.
But there is something we can do.
We can
something
die.
we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements.
Another
if
bucket?
only
They're
we
my
let Stanley
bucket.
die together. The bucket shall take
says
his
so
place
on the
as
bucket.
ruler, as
Property
leader,
of Stanley.
as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Split.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we? It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Yeah, my ego is
Stanley
intact.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Okay, so we're in the
No.
warehouse.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere
we
else.
Go
The cargo
on the
lift.
cargo
Yeah, good.
lifts.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
And then
Stanley
we
did
jump
not
up
question
here.
why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
And then we go here. Can't go here. We have to go down. And then it says... No, I can't open that door. closed. Can't go in. And then down here it says no buckets allowed, and then...
No, stop.
Boink.
Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right
Other
there.
side
It
of the
says,
catwalk. No, that
buckets
door's closed
past
as
this
well.
point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless...
At least I think that the other door is closed as well.
Know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket.
I mean, it's
I
closed.
suppose
I'm
that
not
would
sure if it's
explain a lot
locked.
about your
Let's say
behavior
it
up to this
that way.
point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness.
Try to go without the
I think we
bucket.
have to do something about it. This misunderstanding.
Oh, of
could
course,
have
I don't have
dire
to pick up the
consequences on
bucket.
the entire
Oh God,
rest of the
yes,
game
good
if
point.
not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the
It's
impact
always-
of the story is dependent
It's so
on
alluring.
your understanding
It's
of what
calling to me.
is and
I have to
isn't a
take the bucket. I can't ignore the
Step in
bucket.
here for a moment.
I can't just go on without the bucket.
Now then,
It's
I'm
such
going
a
to
great
run
bucket.
you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Okay, last time I gave him an existential crisis. Maybe we can do better
Item
this
1.
time.
Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Oh.
It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Oh, so mean.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect.
No.
It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
You're welcome. I guess.
Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct. This is a bucket.
I'm not sure why, but it is a bucket. I felt its
Item
magnificence.
6. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
No, it's not a bucket.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing
bucket
here.
or not
Of
the
course it
bucket?
isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything
wait, I
is
should
a
have-
bucket, which of course is not
Ah.
true. Unless
I should have said
is
it
that what
was
you
a
think?
bucket.
Answer me straight, Stanley.
Then he was gonna
Are
say
you trying
nothing
to
is
tell
a
me that
bucket,
you
and then
believe
nothing was a
everything is a
bucket, and
bucket?
then...
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've
Yes, me
lost
too.
all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley,
No.
I can't keep doing this. I'm losing
Yes?
myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm
Both?
afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No.
Okay, here we go.
Goodbye, buckets.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news.
Wonderful.
We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some
If
clarity
I was a
on that
bucket,
issue,
I wouldn't
but
have
it doesn't
needed an
change the
emotional
fact
support
that
bucket.
We haven't got a game.
I would be my
So,
own emotional
you know
support
what?
bucket.
I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Okay, so I'm not taking
Just
the
a step
bucket.
through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through
I'm not
them
taking the
all.
bucket. I'm sorry, bucket. I have to go on without you. You're not allowed. I'll pick you up next time, I promise. Don't hate me. I'll come back for you. Really, I'll come back for you. I'll come back. Wait for me. Oh, I feel
When
empty
Stanley
without
came
the
to a
bucket.
set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop
What
by
am
the
I without
employee
the
lounge
bucket?
first, just to admire it. It was okay.
Next time you come around, the bucket is filled with tears. Oh,
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
the emotional
left.
support bucket needs an emotional support bucket. Maybe he can get a
Stanley
tiny
was so
bucket.
bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Ah.
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Here it is.
Give me a chance.
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly.
Stiggly
Savor
Wiggly.
this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Now listen
Okay.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Sure.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here.
Yeah.
Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
No.
And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for?
More collectibles. Ooh.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy.
Ooh, so pretty.
I actually feel happy.
Wow. Nice. No, don't tell me nice. It was just about the doing. That's trippy, yeah, very trippy. Where are they going? Come back. Oh. Ooh. What's happening? I want more fireworks. Ooh. Different colors. Wow. So how long will this keep going? It's a bit like staring at a lava lamp. Ooh, that's bright. Okay. Oh, they're all going away. It's going dark. No. Where are the pretty stars? Oh, more lights. Oh. So will this just loop forever? My patience will run out at some point. Mr. Narrator. What's happening? Can I just go back?
No, wait. Where are you going?
Nah. I'm leaving you.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
I've thought about it. I want to get my bucket back. Give me my bucket. Ouch.
Oh, thank God you lived. No.
Again.
No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Yes, I want my bucket. Give me my bucket.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room.
No.
Can you do that? My God. Is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Yes. Give me my bucket. Oh my God.
Maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
Yes.
I just wanted
The
us
rush
to
of
get
almost dying over and over
I
again.
guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all.
Splat.
Well, this one is yours.
Yes, it's the only choice I can make. Let me die.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Hey. Bucket?
Stanley, I'm sorry,
hell?
but I have to put a pause on things. It's
Oh,
just...
God.
It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Every time I know the game, it throws a curveball. Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Ah, such a lovely memory. Zone Sweet Zone. Ah, 2013. Oh, but this is all about when the Stanley Parable was released. Oh wait, it's in the basement?
Here's where it all began. The first collectible.
Oh.
Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
No, such a shame. 7 out of 6. Interesting. Maybe we can get up to 12. 12?
And here was a second Stanley. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6.
Thank you.
But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Thanks, man. Ooh.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which
Quiz.
of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember?
In the boss's bathroom.
Hey, that's
Hey.
exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
Okay.
Let's see, what came next?
Not this.
Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Sure. Must have happened. It's a beautiful pink room. Oh, the warehouse.
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Video. Oh, wow. Oh, God. Great editing. Winner's Life Movie Maker, yeah. you back in 2007.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
And the final one.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
Maybe.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Oh. No. Lame. No choices. You are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone.
Ooh, ow. I was playing with the Inception TV.
No, I'm not done.
What?
I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Oh my god. Okay. Let's go up to 18.
Okay, yes. The room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Can you collect them all again now? Yes, it appears that way. Oh my god, will he show the video again? How many can you collect?
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Fast forward.
Yes, I love that video.
Oh, this game. It's weird and I love it.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Very solid room. Solidly pink.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Yeah, I'm glad there was no reward and that we can just collect them over and over and over and over again for the intrinsic joy of collecting them. Wait, what's over this way? Oh, nothing. Ah. Thought I found a secret, but no.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley.
He's beginning to sound a bit like Dora.
What else is there? What came before this?
Oh, what came before this? The exit? Yes, I remember that too. Just keep collecting, just keep collecting.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Oh, such fun memories. Back in the time when I could jump. Oh. I could jump there, yeah, but I already expended all my jumps, so...
Oh, yes, the 2 doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Classic. And I remember going to It Doesn't Matter. Ah,
And before
our office.
everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office?
No.
There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
No.
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with.
Is he dumping us?
You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much.
Very productive typing, yeah.
Here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Getting dumped, yeah, it feels that way. We're getting one more tour of the office, and then we're getting dumped.
All
I
of
hope
his co-workers were gone.
we get
What
our
could
bucket.
it mean?
Wait,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
is
Perhaps
the
he
hallway
had simply
different
missed
again?
a memo.
No, I'm not sure.
Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace.
The narrator is breaking up with you. Yeah, how dare he?
Assertive, yet compassionate.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
You'll need it.
The door on his left.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's dumping us, I need my emotional support bucket for sure.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find it. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Mr. Boss.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always.
Who needs such a giant-ass
The bucket
office?
would.
Yeah,
And he knew
good
it.
question.
The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket
Who
that he
dusts
didn't
the
notice the
ceilings?
keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad
There must be
was
mountains of spider webs
2845.
around here. I entered the code, right? Oh. Oh,
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs, trying to input any, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
yeah, I
Was
remembered
the
it
bucket
incorrectly.
knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Yes. Wait, what's over here? Ah, nothing. Okay. Okay, let's go to the mind control facility for our last time playing before we get dumped.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, mind control facility.
Which is not ominous at all. Okay.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Ooh.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
So much television screens. Someone is working here. Employee observation protocol. Are we being watched? Oh no.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
Oh.
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
No, you're supposed to support me, not the other way around. Ugh, the bucket has a meltdown. Okay, so who is watching us and why? Elevator
Was
up?
the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Good
These
question.
questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
What does the bucket want to do?
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Yes, trust the bucket. I bet the bucket is the
here
evil
was the
mastermind.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Ah, we high-fived in a really cool way. I know it. Facility power. There's labeled buttons. Mind controls idle, awaiting input. Ooh. So you two have a secret handshake now, huh?
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Oh.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this?
Bucket.
Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Silly birds.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Flying birds.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
Yes, that's what it is.
The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken,
This one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Ah, and they lived happily ever after. In an underground facility, watching birds. What? He hasn't broken up with us yet.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
We're still playing.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
On a floor of memos. The bucket's still here.
Ah, Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Why is there paper all over the floor?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
So, where do we go? Do we go left again and turn off the mind control facility? See what happens? Because I think we did all the paths to the right. I think. Sounds like a plan. Okay. I'm not sure if the ending will be different though, but we'll find out.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked
Only one way to
upstairs
find out,
the
yeah.
boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
No, it's the bucket.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bucket wants me to go to the mind control facility. Genius bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Good.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
Shock.
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Yoink.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Yes, don't worry, bucket. We'll rescue everyone.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Employee pirate?
These
What?
questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Employee pirate, okay. Interesting.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He
Never.
squeezed the bucket tighter.
Yo,
One
and a
friend
bottle of
in the
rum.
entire world. At
Not
this
during
point,
working
He
hours.
could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart
A
of the
bucket
operation.
of rum.
Controls labeled
Now
with
that's
emotion,
emotional support.
Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way.
The
And the
buttons
bucket
don't
made
do
a sassy
anything.
comment about taking down the system.
Mind controls idle, awaiting inputs. Off.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
Okay.
Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine.
No.
Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth.
Oh.
Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
That's
True,
confusing.
it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
No!
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped?
No!
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Outside. We're so
Unbearable
close.
silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty.
Finally
Until
outside.
finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No!
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket.
No!
No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the
Might as
bucket.
well have called it the
To be
bucket
trapped
parable at
eternally
this
in
point.
darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Are we gonna find out? I just reset. Okay. Okay,
Stanley
so...
decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly
So we
needed
have to
support
go
and
there
guidance from
without the
others.
bucket?
So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
I have to leave the bucket behind again? Where did all the memos go? Yeah, I don't have a clue. The game keeps doing weird things. It's just how
When
it is.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh,
Yet
so
there
much
was not a
harder without
single
the
person
bucket.
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
I mean, who's gonna
Stanley
tell me the
decided
code?
to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
It was always the bucket who told me the code.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh my god. Wow.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Yes, just relax, Stanley. Goodbye, my bucket. Goodbye, my friend. Oh. I mean, someone really sat down and thought to themselves, okay, what if someone is just trying to get to the through the story really quickly? Let's have them sit down for a minute with some music.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Yoink.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
I'm not sure. I don't have the bucket. I wonder what will happen if you go too quickly again. Yeah.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
Oh, that one's
Each
glitched.
bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Nothing. Dun 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 dun.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Horrible.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only
Couldn't be.
reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Oh my god.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was
Never.
unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Oof.
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I feel like there should be like an Easter egg or something with these buttons, but... Or maybe the power has to be on, but when we turn on the power we get silly birds. Let's escape. Let's see if we are allowed to go outside, finally. The real outside, instead of the fake outside.
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
No.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
What?
Where had his co-workers gone?
Who cares?
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
Doesn't matter.
What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
Exactly.
For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness.
No.
Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
No.
And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
We're actually allowed to go outside.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation,
Oh, so
the
pretty.
immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yay, happy Stanley. Hey, I got an achievement. Beat the game. So this was like the true ending. Awesome. Wow. There was actually a happy ending. Yeah, right. After all the dark and ominous endings, what about the bucket? We'll never know. I mean, the bucket is not allowed to leave the facility. It's not allowed to be crushed. It's not allowed to do anything, really. It's staying here forever. Finally a happy ending, yeah. Finally. I think the happy ending is a good place to end it for today as well. I'm not sure what I'll be playing next. Maybe I'll be playing a game with someone else? I'm not sure. Or if you guys have any suggestions for another game. I might return to this later, just as with the perspective game. I forgot the name. Well, Superliminal. To see if there's more secrets, more endings, more stuff to find out. But I think we covered quite a bit of this game now, to be honest. Maybe there's one or two more. So I might return to both of those. Viewfinder. That's a new game, right? I think I saw that on Steam. Also about... So with a camera and perspective, like making photographs and the right angle to create new ways to move forward. Yes, okay, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll try that next. I'll have a look into it. Maybe you could try Figment. It's also a sort of puzzle game. Okay. Solo play. I played it today, it's very fun. You played Viewfinder? Okay. I'll look into those games. And I'll see what I play next time. And maybe if Figment's all about music and it's kind of silly. Okay, I'm not very good with music. Do you need like skill with music? I can't read notes, stuff like that. No, you don't need musical knowledge. Okay. I'll try. I'll have a look at it. I'll see what it's about, and I'll also look at Viewfinder. But anyway, that's for next time. So for now, have a good evening. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all the next time. Bye bye.